BC woman has been found guilty of time theft and ordered to pay her employer thousands of dollars. So here to explain what time theft is and what you need to know if you are a remote worker, we're going to turn to University of Guelph Department of Management Associate Professor Nita Chinzer. Welcome to your morning.
Good morning. What an interesting, complex topic to talk about this morning.
Yes, well, let's start with defining it. What is time theft?
Time theft is misrepresentation of the time that you say that you're at work doing work-related activities and when you're actually at work. So it's a deviation between when you're saying that you are actively working and when you're not. And time theft has been around for ages. I don't know if you remember the old punch clock systems, but we know call center people get evaluated all the time to see when they're actually working. And it's really against this idea that we should be at work when we say we're at work. We should be doing work-related activities when we say that we're at work. And that, we are essentially exchanging our time for money as the predominant exchange at work.
And that's where that loaded word theft comes in. How are employers tracking it and how are they cracking down on it?
More recently, we've seen big advancements when it comes to laptop-based electronic monitoring, but there was electronic monitoring on GPS systems, there was punch clocks in the past, there was calls, there's monitoring over how long and how quickly you're working. The case that brings this to light today is actually a case that came out of British Columbia. And if we've got a second, I'll walk us through the case, but essentially a woman wasn't performing well. The company installed some software on her computer to track when she was working because they were trying to figure out what's going on? Why is she not delivering her deliverables? And within the first month that software was on her system, they actually found that she over-reported 50 hours of work. So they fired her. And a lot of companies are saying theft is theft. Whether you steal money or you steal time, you are misrepresenting, you're eroding the trust in the relationship. This is a fireable offense. And they fired her. And she said, "Oh, you fired me without cause," and sued them for wrongful dismissal in civil court. The company then put a countersuit in and said, "No, actually, we've got 1 month that shows she didn't even work 50 hours. And her arguments back were, "Oh, I don't know how the software works, so I printed off my papers and I was working offline." But the software was tracking whether printing happened.
Right.
And eventually, after she exhausted her options, she admitted, she was like, "No, I wasn't actually working." And the company's like, "Well, then you owe us back our time. You owe us back what we paid you for that time." And this is a really compelling case because now companies are coming after us saying, "You know what, I overpaid you, you misrepresented, you owe me for that time back."
People paying particular attention because there's the move towards a hybrid workspace. I just think about, time wasting. That would happen in an office too, right? Not necessarily time theft or what didn't used to be called time theft. It was just wasting time. Is there more time theft in remote workspaces than there would be at an office?
It's different. So when we were going into the office, it's not like we were working every single minute of the hour. We were going around, we were talking to people, we were meeting someone in coffee breaks, smokers were taking their smoke breaks, some people were taking extended lunches. But your environment then is that you were surrounded by coworkers. So a lot of companies had more tolerance for that because they thought that you were still doing things like building relationships, innovating, collaborating in a way that was important to the fabric of the workplace. And now when we're isolated and we're working remotely at home, we're taking that time off and we're maybe watching a YouTube video or we're doing the laundry or we're running out and grabbing grocery. And companies are saying that's not technically work-related activity. So if you are taking those times off, you're still not contributing. That's not work-related activity. And they're tolerant to some points, but I mean, if we're looking at 12 and a half hours a week misrepresented or misused, they will come down and say, this is beyond our threshold. The question is, nobody knows what the threshold is, right? Nobody knows how many hours is okay.
That's a and we're going to learn that as we continue in this new kind of work environment and workspace. That's a fascinating distinction between like team building at the water cooler versus, doing stuff in a silo when you're working from home. Thanks so much for coming on this morning. Great discussion, Professor Chinzer.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.